Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for SteveArts89. Well, I saw an article on TrekMovie.com about why the producer decided to reopen a story from Next Generation, and I didn't even really open it or read it because I don't really need them to tell me. They just don't have any of their own ideas. They have nothing interesting. They've created a universe that is so uninteresting because it's basically just pulling from other shows and doesn't have its own life, that in order to have a story for the next season, they had to pull back to something from Next Generation. It's like, okay, yeah, why do I need to be told about that? It's just really disappointing. They went to all this trouble to create this 31st century Star Trek show, which just makes the other shows redundant, because if you want the future of humanity, why would you bother with 23rd and 24th and 25th century stories when you can go to the 31st century? Mind you, they don't even really bother to try and accurately... I mean, how can you accurately predict what the future is going to be like for humanity in 900 years? Or, no, sorry, 900 years on top of the other three, so like 1200 years. It's just the worst idea. And I know people had that idea, and they were suggesting we should do a Star Trek series set, in this sort of period and that, and it wasn't done back then because it was a bad idea, but of course Kurtzman is just trying anything and everything to see if they can get something to work with his new Trek. And yeah, it's like, even though they went to all that trouble to go to the future and separate themselves from all the existing canon and Star Trek and Starfleet and everything, instead of being lost in space in the 31st century, they end up finding Earth and finding Starfleet and ruining it, then fixing it, just to have it appear almost exactly like it did in the 25th century, even though it's supposed to be 900 years in the future. And they've got some random, like, magic tech, and everything else is exactly the same. Like humanity hasn't changed. Like, people still need to have pronouns explained to them, and there's still your regular bureaucracy, and it's just, I'm not surprised that they couldn't find an interesting enough story in that universe they created to fill out a season. They had to go back to something from Next Generation. Just one episode, a small part of the story, which is just fascinating. It could have been like a whole series. It could have been a whole episode or double episode or something alone, just that element of it. But that's the great thing about Star Trek and Star Trek Next Generation. There were so many ideas, there was so much there, and they're so full of things that you can explore and think about, that of course it'd be very easy to go back to an old Star Trek episode and make a TV season out of it. But yeah, that's what they had to do because they had nothing happening in their own universe. It's a bit sad. So I just had to have a bitch about that, because I sort of saw that and I was like, you don't need to explain that Next Generation is so great that just one episode was enough to inspire you to write a whole TV series of New Trek. I mean,